Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that money no longer exists. Your bank balance is gone. The cash in your wallet is now just colorful paper. Your landlord cannot charge rent. Your boss cannot pay your salary. And the person selling breakfast looks at you and says, "Fine, you can have the food, but what are you giving me?" At first, it sounds wonderful. No bills, no debt, no checking your account balance, and suddenly becoming very religious. But after a few hours, a terrifying question appears. Without money, how would any of us get what we need? For most of human existence, people lived without banknotes, salaries, credit cards, or mobile transfers. So was their life simpler and happier? Or are we romanticizing a world where dinner could escape, medicine did not exist, and one bad winter could destroy an entire community? To find out, let us travel back thousands of years and meet a man named Aru. Aru wakes as sunlight enters his shelter. He has no alarm clock, no morning traffic, no unread work emails beginning with "just following up," and, most importantly, no boss. Aru's small community survives by hunting, gathering plants, fishing, and sharing resources. Nobody gives him a salary for collecting berries. He does not buy meat from the hunters. When food enters the camp, much of it is shared according to the community's customs, relationships, and needs. If Aru finds honey today, he shares some of it. Next week, when another family catches a large animal, they may share with him. This does not mean everyone is recording every favor like an ancient accountant. Aru is not sitting beside the fire saying, "You still owe me 12 berries and half a rabbit." Instead, people depend on long-term relationships. You help because you belong to the group, because sharing protects everyone during difficult times, and because refusing to share may destroy your reputation. That is one important correction to the popular story about life before money. Many of us imagine ancient people spending all day bartering. One person approaches another and says, "I will give you 3 fish for that basket." The basket owner replies, "I hate fish." And the entire economy collapses. Direct barter certainly happened, especially between strangers or separate groups. But anthropologists have found little evidence that entire early societies operated only through constant, immediate barter. Within communities, gifts, obligations, sharing, and informal credit were often more important. In other words, before written bank accounts, people frequently kept social accounts inside their memories. This world had some genuine advantages. Aru's survival is directly connected to useful activity. When he collects food, repairs a tool, or helps build a shelter, he can immediately see why his work matters. He is not moving numbers between 2 spreadsheets, so another person can move those numbers into a 3rd spreadsheet. He also spends much of his day around relatives and familiar community members. Work, family, food, and social life are not divided into completely separate worlds. Studies of some modern hunter-gatherer communities suggest that food collection can require fewer hours than farming and may leave substantial time for rest, conversation, storytelling, games, and childcare. However, researchers warn that working hours are difficult to compare because gathering food is only part of the labor required. Tool making, cooking, childcare, and other daily tasks still take time. Modern foraging groups are also not perfect copies of prehistoric societies. Still, Aru probably does not suffer from one modern problem, feeling that every minute must produce money. He does not lie awake worrying that he is falling behind people he has never met. Nobody in the neighboring valley posts a picture beside a luxury cave with the caption, "Hard work pays off." Aru has fewer possessions, but he may also have fewer reasons to compare his possessions with thousands of strangers. And because a mobile hunting and gathering community cannot carry enormous amounts of property, extreme accumulation is difficult. One person cannot easily own 200 houses when everyone has to walk to a new location next month. Many hunter-gatherer communities developed customs that discouraged boasting, hoarding, and domination, but they were not all perfectly equal. Research shows enormous variation. Some communities were strongly egalitarian, while others developed status differences, inherited advantages, or organized hierarchies, depending on their environment and resources. So far, life before money sounds peaceful. No rent, no taxes, No online fraudster sending Aru a message claiming to be an exiled prince. But now the weather changes. For several weeks, animals become difficult to find. Aru's community gathers fewer plants. A child becomes dangerously ill. There is no hospital nearby, no antibiotics, no emergency number, no specialist who has spent years learning how to treat that particular illness. Aru may know useful plants and traditional treatments, but many injuries, infections, and childbirth complications remain extremely dangerous. Research into hunter-gatherer mortality shows that infant and childhood death was extremely high by modern standards. Some people who survived childhood could live into their 60s or beyond, so it is incorrect to imagine everyone dying at 30. But reaching adulthood was far from guaranteed. And there is another problem. Aru's community can share because its members know one another. They remember who contributes, who causes trouble, and who can be trusted. But imagine Aru meeting a stranger from a distant settlement. The stranger has a sharp metal tool. Aru wants it. Aru offers dried meat. The stranger does not need meat. Aru offers a basket. The stranger already has baskets. Aru performs an impressive dance. The stranger is entertained, but still keeps the tool. This is where a commonly accepted form of payment becomes extremely useful. Money allows Aru to give the stranger something that can later be exchanged with someone else. The stranger does not need to want Aru's exact product at that exact moment. Money also provides a common way to compare value, record debts, and store purchasing power for later. Across history, humans used many things as money or money-like units: grain, livestock, shells, pieces of metal, and written records of debt. In ancient Mesopotamia, units such as the shekel were used in accounting thousands of years ago, while stamped coins appeared much later, around the 7th century BCE, in parts of Asia Minor. Money did not simply replace a primitive world of people throwing chickens at each other until a fair exchange happened. It developed in different ways in different places, alongside credit, taxation, trade, temples, governments, and systems of record-keeping. And once it spread, money helped strangers cooperate on a scale Aru's community could never achieve. A farmer could sell grain to a merchant. The merchant could pay a builder. The builder could buy cloth from someone hundreds of kilometers away. Eventually, millions of people who did not know one another could contribute to the same system. That cooperation helped produce roads, ships, cities, universities, hospitals, and technologies that no small community could build alone. But money also created new dangers. Anything that can be counted can be accumulated. Anything that can be accumulated can become power. Food eventually rots. Money can be stored, invested, inherited, and used to control land, labor, and resources. A person no longer needs to be the strongest hunter or the most trusted community member. He can simply own the field, charge others to use it, and hire somebody stronger to protect it. Money made large-scale cooperation easier, but it also made large-scale inequality easier. It allowed wealth to travel across generations. It helped governments collect taxes and organize public projects. It also helped rulers finance palaces, armies, and wars. Money was never automatically good or evil. It was an amplifier. It made human cooperation more powerful, and human greed more powerful too. So, was life better before money? In certain ways, possibly. Many people lived closer to their families and communities. Their work had an immediate purpose. They were not constantly surrounded by prices, advertisements, and financial comparisons. Some foraging communities may also have enjoyed more flexible time than later agricultural workers. But life was not a permanent holiday beside a river. People faced hunger, injury, dangerous childbirth, high childhood mortality, conflict, and total dependence on local conditions. Your community might support you, but it might also control you. Leaving was difficult when every person you trusted, every food source you understood, and every protection you had existed in one small area. Modern money gives people something ancient social systems often could not: the ability to cooperate with strangers, and sometimes the ability to escape the people they know. You can move to another city, pay someone who does not belong to your family, receive help from a person you have never met, and buy food produced on the other side of the world without promising the farmer that you will return one day with a goat. The real question, then, is not whether life was better before money. It is whether money has improved life, or quietly become the purpose of life. Money was created as a tool for measuring value. But over time, many societies began using it to measure the value of people. A person with more money is treated as more successful. A job that pays poorly is considered unimportant, even when that job protects, teaches, or cares for others. Time with family becomes unproductive. Rest becomes laziness. And a human life becomes a race to collect numbers that nobody can carry beyond the grave. Aru's world reminds us of something we may have forgotten. Wealth was once measured differently. Could your community depend on you? Did you know how to find food? Could you care for a child? Could you tell a story that made everyone laugh beside the fire? Money has given humanity extraordinary freedom, comfort, and cooperation. Most of us would not genuinely choose to surrender modern medicine, safe housing, global communication, and reliable food supplies. But perhaps the people who lived before money understood one thing better than we do. Money can help you build a life, but money itself is not a life. So maybe life was not better before money. Maybe it was better before we allowed money to decide what everything and everyone was worth.